Hello, Chad. How are you?
What's up, Thanasis? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to switch around our screens so that when I turn to that monitor, oh, I'm on your other side. Where am I? Which way am I?
Right. This way.
Okay,
That
good.
way?
There you go. Yeah, but I
Okay.
can if I look at my monitor now, I can see you. Where's my finger? You. Good. How are things? How are things in the Pacific Northwest? If I'm not mistaken.
Jolly. A little too warm for my taste, but fine. Other than that, what about you? How's things over there in
A bit,
Canada?
yeah, a bit too chilly for my taste, but other than that,
We should trade. We
we
should
should trade.
trade.
We should trade. So we have Sharon in the chat. Hello, Sharon. How are you?
Sharon.
And yeah, hopefully we're going to have more guests today on our stream, which is the third and last installment of our retro wave or synth wave or all those waves which are reminiscent of the 80s and 90s and sci-fi and music. And this style combines it's very close to my heart, and because I was a teenager back then, or a young adult, I guess I'm that old. And yeah, it's I've got fond memories of that time. So yeah, today, for anyone that doesn't know, Chad is going to show us some very interesting stuff, predominantly in the 2D world, because you know, Maxon has 3D tools, but also has some magnificent 2D tools and a 2.5D, 2.65, 321D, and all that. So we have all the Ds between 2 and 4. I would assume something like that. So many Ds. And yeah, having said that, I'm going to offer the screen to Chad. And before we do that, we have this tradition now where we take a little selfie to help our very good friend, colleague, and mentor, Dr. Sassy, to populate the video. Hi, Doctor. With a nice little thumbnail. So we're going to look at our cameras, 3, 2, 1, and say cheese. There we go. We have our thumbnail. And having said that, I'm going to remove our faces and offer you the full real estate of your screen for Chad's magnificent presentation. See you on the other side.
Thank you so much, Noseman, and all of you joining us today. I think we should unofficially make the new Maxon slogan, all the Ds between 2 and 4. That's so far my favorite thing of the entire day. All the Ds between 2 and 4. I'm probably going to keep saying that. I might get a tattoo of it. So we are going to be continuing this thing with retro graphics, Retrowave Graphics. It's kind of like these 80s inspired graphics, kind of throwback style. And there's all these kind of things that we can do in After Effects to bring that out. And so I'm going to be showing you some things in After Effects, but really this is a conversation, the subtext, the things that like I'm not saying that are underneath the surface, is that Maxon One is like really interesting. You know, like this is a great playground for Maxon One, looking at Maxon One, the benefits of Maxon One, because as we have like cinema experience and we have like Red Giant experience, we can kind of balance that and play with it. And sometimes we'll want to make things in 3D, and sometimes we'll want to save it for, you know, the 2D compositing world and vice versa. So I'm going to be showing you kind of like different ways of doing things and the different tools, and you can make your choice, but it's really interesting. Sometimes I'll want to make 3D elements in After Effects, and sometimes I want to make 2D elements in cinema, and we'll talk about like why that is. So also special thanks to Noseman and Elly for the last 2 weeks. I watched this stuff and it was just like absolutely incredible. So thank you all for that. Okay, so here's this like promo that I made before this week started, or before the month started. And I kind of just got to play a bit with this idea and with these themes, and it was like really fun. And so this is kind of like some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. Like Noseman talked about like creating this kind of like chrome look in cinema. We'll be looking how to do that in After Effects. Elly talked really awesome neon stuff that she made. We'll be talking about how to kind of simulate that here in After Effects. There's some kind of cool stuff here we won't be talking about too much. I played with some star glow on stars in the background. Star glow is a red giant effect, doesn't get much love, but it creates these kind of like chromatic stars. You can change the colors, but they definitely add a pop of like 70s, 80s flair, which is like fun. They kind of remind me of like JCPenney photo studios, if you remember those back in the day. And then also like these kind of like cool neon edges, that neon feel we'll be looking at. One of the things that's kind of interesting, we won't talk about too much unless somebody has like a question or something like that, is the old trap code shine effect is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. So I was building these elements and you could see that like I was even using like ecto in the background, which from a period point of view is not like, it feels too organic for the 80s, but I was kind of playing around with like that look. You know, it feels like you could do something there to make it kind of feel like 80s. And then shine is really doing, again, a lot of the heavy lifting and making this come alive. It's just the old effect, you know, of shine, where like it's creating these like volumetric lights. But because we have all these like neon colors and these bright pinks and things like that, then like this kind of comes alive. Michael Zalapsky, in charge of our social media stuff, got involved, and he made this kind of like little like retrowave promo that was like really cool. It has like this like retrowave sun and this like stylized graphics and stuff like that. And of course, the great scene that Noseman and Elly made. And I went in with that scene and I kind of like fiddled with it. And we're going to be kind of spending some time here today talking about how to make these various elements and use these different styles and stuff like that. You'll notice that it's like a little bit different than what they had before. And we'll be talking about that. So let's first talk about wireframes because there's some ways to do wireframes here in After Effects and ways to do wireframes in cinema. And I think this is one of the ones where it's just kind of like a really good example of being able to know how to do it in 3D and knowing how to do it in 2D, because sometimes, you know, there might be one way that's better or another. Now, if you remember, when we looked at cinema the last couple of weeks, it's very easy. We can just create a landscape and we can just like bump this up, and then we can, you know, adjust the seed to get like a more mountain rangy type thing. Maybe that'll work. And it's really easy to go in. And I didn't know this before. Noseman taught me in the last 2 weeks ago. But I can create a new material, I'll apply it to my landscape, and we can just go and create a wireframe node. It's just like a wireframe. No, that's like the coolest thing. And then I could go in and apply it to like the color and maybe the opacity. And then I can go in here, which I also didn't know, that in the emission, I can command or control click this little circle, add this here and make it pop up to my like emission here. So I could go in here and I could go into my my wireframe node and change the wire color and the polygon color. And let's say I'll make this black to give us like a better idea of what's going on. Then I'll make the wire color something garish and 80s. Let's bring up the saturation. There we go. And so then we now can have this this like wireframe here, and then I'll apply this also to the emission color. Oh, and then I need to go into my IPR. I'm missing something. Oh, wait, there we go. Yeah, this is like a little bit too dense. I need to go into my mesh and like dumb it down. But this looks really, this is very cool. And it's, again, very easy to create these kind of like, you know, cool wireframe things in 3D. And you have the full benefit of 3D objects. But I'm going to show you how to also do this in After Effects, which is also kind of just like a neat trick. I have this fractal. Actually, I'll just start from scratch. Why not? We got time. It's early. This is when I get like cocky and I'm just like, oh, we have all the time in the world. So I'll just go crazy. So I'm gonna make a fractal noise layer. And, you know, we don't have to be like super particular about this. I'm going to say terrain because we want to create terrain. Actually, maybe I'll say rocky. Yeah. Yo, Adrian, we're making some fractal noise. Okay, so I'm playing around with this and I'm kind of getting like kind of like a mountainous kind of texture, like a depth map. If you were like aerially looking down on a mountainscape, that's kind of like what I'm going for. But anyways, that's fine. And I'm going to create a new instance of mirror. And what mirror can do, I'm going to make a new solid with mirror. And mirror is one of those tools that's just wacky. You know, when you first apply it, you're like, what even is this? I don't think I could ever use this. But as you start playing with it more, there's just so much power. It's just like a playground. It's basically just like a sheet of 3D mesh. And then we can play with it in all kinds of ways. And by default, it's really weird. There's like a weird shader on it. So it makes it kind of like satiny. It has the add blend mode. So when the wrinkles of the mesh overlap, they get like, they get brighter. So it's just kind of like, I mean, I haven't had like a glowing neon mesh need much in my career. So I'm going to take this size to XYZ individual, take this to 1920 by 1080 so it fills our screen. And for goodness sakes, let's go down to the shader area, change this from density, which is the kind of like semi-transparent satiny stuff, change this to smooth, remove the blend mode. And now you can kind of see a little bit more of what's going on here. We have this like full 3D, you know, mesh that's being displaced by an invisible fractal displacement field that we can adjust in this fractal area. But what's cool about mirror and very powerful is that I could change this, the amplitude layer. So instead of just being like a general kind of fractal noise field, I could say, get the amplitude from our fractal noise and use effects and masks, and then take down the frequency, let's say to just like 1, and then we'll take the amplitude down to 1. And then I will open up the Z range and crank the Z lift. And now we're starting to see that the fractal field that we created earlier is displacing this mesh. Now we want to increase the resolution, our vertices, X and Y, if we want to see like more detail here. Maybe I'll take the frequency down to 0. I don't know why it's like so high detailed noise there. But if I go back to the fractal noise, now here we go. If we go back to fractal noise and I start adjusting the contrast, you can see that it's actually tweaking our stuff in 3D, which is kind of cool. So maybe I'll adjust some of these things. Maybe I'll take the scale and scale this up. So I'm actually changing the 3D mesh, which is, you know, pretty cool. So then I could go down to, or go back to mirror and open up the shader area again. And instead of drawing a fill, well, we can draw a wireframe. And then I'll go into material and I can make this like a cool, sexy color there. And maybe I'll take down the amount of vertices. So we have like this kind of like low poly look. Pretty cool. There we go. And if I put a camera in my scene and I move around this, we'll see that like, you know, this is like a fully 3D thing here. Fully 3D mountains. It's customizable. And so something like this, you know, like I might do that here in After Effects. If we are here in After Effects and we have this like 3D wireframe, which is like a really common design element in Retrowave, oftentimes like you'll line the sides with these like, you know, wireframe mountains. You know, we could change the tessellation from triangles to quads just like that easy. So sometimes, you know, it might, if we have the landscapes, we decide later, like, oh, we actually want like less geometry, like less vertices in Y or less in X, or actually let's bring back those triangles or whatever. Then you have all that flexibility and you're still in 3D. So, you know, there's pros and cons to doing it both ways. And so that's kind of like the theme of the day. Are there any questions about mirror and its sexiness? Because I could understand how there might be, because mirror is magical.
Nothing yet. I think everyone is just mesmerized. So yeah, if anything comes up, I will interrupt you and pop it up on the screen. This is great.
Okay.
Oh,
Cool.
one thing I would like to say. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and because this is a bitmap, I assume that if you pre-comp it, you can use it as a mask, you can put a gradient, you can do all sorts of stuff, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, we do have a question. Pixel Swag asks, and correct as well, is Mir new to AE? No, but tell us more about that. How new is it?
It's not new. It's been around for a long time, like many, many years. But it's part of Red Giant. So it's one of those tools that's part of the Red Giant collection that Maxon makes. And it's not in your native After Effects. It's part of like the Red Giant collection. So a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna be showing here today is it included with the Red Giant collection. So there's that. Thank you for the question, by the way. I love questions. Another thing too, Noseman, going back to your point, yes, we could pre-comp it and fiddle with it, but there's also other things here too, like with the visibility section, for example, I could change the far of this if I wanted to, like crop this, you know, and also these are animatable. If I wanted to make this like growing on, it would be kind of like cheesy in a lot of other circumstances to do that. But for retrowave stuff, it'd be like perfect. So we could have it kind of like growing on that way. We could also add some fog. So maybe like I'll sample the black color and maybe take the fog close and then, you know, bring this down. So we can actually like kind of create gradients. And so there's actually like more fiddling. The point is there's more fiddling that we can do while we are here in Mir before even pre-comping it that, you know, for tweaking and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, the moment you opened up the visibility, I was like, oh dang, that's a lot of stuff. We do have another question. The question is from Squirrel. Squirrel. Oh yeah, it's an alternative spelling of squirrel. Okay.
That's brilliant, actually. That's brilliant.
I think. Right. Can we animate this scrolling? So I assume that, you know, can you make, oh, if you animate the fractal, what's going to happen? Oh, let's
yes. Brilliant question, because there's actually multiple ways to animate this. I could go and let's say I'll enable perspective offset. So this is going back to the fractal noise map that's controlling the wireframe. I could just do like offset turbulence that way. And so kind of like it keeps the wireframe where it is, but moves the mountain pattern. It like, you know, cycles the mountain pattern through it. We can adjust evolution and kind of like evolve the mountain pattern that way. And then also we can go back to Mir and then adjust offset and scroll XY. So if we want to like move this that way or use the offset here, actually offset doesn't work with this one, but we can use scroll here to move the wireframe as well. So like, I mean, this actually is moving the wireframes, but keeping like the mesh like where it's at. So you can use a combination of those two things of adjusting offset or scroll, and then also adjusting the original map that's controlling the displacement. So great questions and comments. This is starting to be like a little conversational. I love it. Can we animate it with audio? Good question. Not directly. There's not audio. So there's also form. You could use trapcode form, and form you can animate with audio. But I don't know if there's a way to directly create a wireframe mesh that's flexible like this. You'd have to use the keyframe assistance to take your audio, convert it to keyframes, and then use it to drive properties of Mir.
We can do something in Cinema 4D using a sound field with the plane effector as a deformer, but that is for another tutorial.
See, that's the whole thing, though. That's the whole thing, right? I mean, it's just kind of like, do you do it in 2D or 3D? And like, that's kind of like what, in my mind, like that's like kind of like what this month is about, is like, and what, especially what today is about, is like, you know, giving you information so that you can make choices of like whether you want to actually build this in 3D, render it, or whether you want to, you know, kind of like do it in After Effects. There's like trade-offs with different methods, you know what I mean? So that's exciting. Okay, moving along. Let's talk about how to make this like cool chromy text. And for this, I'm going to apply an effect called luster. That's a red giant effect. And by the way, if those of you that have red giant, the best thing you can do if you're new, because I mean, you know, there's 136 different effects as part of red giant, and very few people know them all. Very few people at Maxon like know them all. It's just a lot to keep track of. So if you go to the window menu, extensions, red giant universe dashboard, this gives you a dashboard that shows you what all of the effects that were originally part of the universe collection, like what they look like. So this is like a great way just to get familiar with these tools. This is 105 of those 136 different effects. And they're in different categories. So there's blurs, there's distort effects, there's generators, there's like motion graphics tools, which are really cool. There's just like a bunch of tools in different categories. And each one of these could be like a separate session. They're really incredible. But the category that we're going to be looking at most today is the Stylize category. And there's all kinds of tools to stylize your footage and get different vintage looks or whatever. And one of those tools is luster. Now, if I like hover my mouse over this, you'll see the apply button. So I could click this and apply luster from right here, and that will apply the default settings. But if I click in the thumbnail for luster, then I will get thumbnails of all of the different presets that ship with luster. So I like this glass one. So I could apply this from here. This applies the effect and also the preset there. So the way that luster works is it makes that that kind of like chrome gradient right off the bat. I mean, you saw how stupid my text was before, and now it's indeed radical, we could say. Like also you'll notice too, as I move my text around, that the gradient stays in place. And that is by design, but I can change that if I want to as well in these sections. I could also use my own reflection map. I could adjust the bevel here, and I can tweak the angle. I could also go in here to these points and adjust the gradient this way. So if I wanted to raise it up or like lower it down from these control points, I can do that here as well. And one of the things that's really interesting that Noseman talked about, that key to this trick is actually having an uneven surface. If you have like a razor sharp text with hard lines, like it's going to be like a straight line. And so he showed you in the last couple of weeks, like how to do that. And this effect, this luster effect, understands that as well. So it has a built-in kind of displacement. So you can see there's like roughness around the edges, and we can actually go into the highlight section and change the horizontal distortion if we want to add more of that or scale it down or whatever. It also bevels the edge. It also gives you control over highlights and shadows along the edge as well, because flat edges do not make a great chrome look. So it could simulate that here. So again, like whether you want to build this with a mesh and actually light it and actually have reflections, or whether you want to simulate it here, maybe your text isn't as, you know, dynamic. It doesn't need to be three-dimensional. It doesn't need to like rotate or play or whatever. And you can create that in After Effects. So it's kind of like, you know, your choice of which one you want to do. So, okay. Any other, let's see, Sharon has a question, I see. Can you use sound keys with mirror to move it with audio? Yes. Yes. I don't know how. Yes, I don't know. Like I would have to think of like the use case, but like the short answer is yes, you can. The longer answer is I'm not sure how to do that in a way that would work cool with how I'm thinking it. Because a lot of times with scrolling things, we want to like evolve the value like over time to keep it going to scroll. But if you want it just to kind of like go back and forth based on like audio amplitude, then sound keys would work with that. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Okay, so that's how to make Chrome text. And moving right along, let's talk about how to make neon. And one of the things that I think worked well with this piece that I made before was the neonness of the edges. It kind of feels like electric, and then this kind of feels like electric. And there's kind of a cool trick here that I thought be worth going over. Now, one of the things to create neon is, you could just apply the optical glow effect. Again, this is from Red Giant. You apply optical glow, and then bada boom, we have neon. We have like a cool like neon effect. This isn't super realistic, but also this is kind of similar to how glows worked in the 90s. When they simulated it, it wasn't super realistic either. So if you wanted to get period accurate neon glow, you could just apply optical glow, and boom, there you go. It could increase the amount to have more neon or less neon or whatever. But I'm going to do this as something. I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to turn off my optical glow, and you'll notice that in my original, like we kind of have like a glowing white core. With my edge here, there's like a kind of like a glowing white core, and then a blue kind of fade out, and then same thing here. And that's kind of a cool trick that's worth going over. I talk about this like all the time. It's like one of my favorite tricks in After Effects. You could do so much with it. So forgive me if you've heard this one before, but what I'm going to do is take advantage of super white in After Effects. So you got to make sure you're in 32 bits per channel mode. If it's saying 8 BPC or 16 BPC, then you need to alt click this little thing until it says 32 BPC. Because once you say 32 BPC, 32 bits per channel, it changes the amount of colors that are available to you. And also it allows you to use super white and super black colors. So colors that are whiter than white and blacker than black. So I'm going to click on this fill color here, and 1 is white and 0 is black. So you can see my red, green, blue values here. And the way that we create this kind of like magenta light color is that we have full red and blue, and we take away green because green is the opposite of magenta. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to, so if we take this to 111, then we have just like regular full white, right? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take red to 3, which is, that much brighter than white, and take blue to 3, which is that much whiter than white in the blue channel. And because green is so much lower, we're going to get a magenta tint here. So we're basically going super white in the red and blue channels, which will create a magenta-like color. I'll go ahead and click OK here. And like right now, you're just seeing just white. It just looks like regular white text. But what's happening here behind the scenes, it's almost just like this like magenta light that's like burning. It's like so hot and so intense. So all we're seeing is just like the regular white. I mean, actually, if you zoom in really close here, you could see that that white is so burning bright that it wants to like pour out of here. But if I go back here and now I turn on my optical glow, now that we've used the 32-bit per channel super white, then when we glow it, we're actually getting something that feels more realistic because it is more realistic. It's actually behaving the way that light would behave. So I could take down the amount to make this like a little bit toned down. And now we have our super white that is, glowing here. And we're bringing out the intensity of that light, and it feels a lot more organic and realistic. And of course, we can adjust the size of the glow to taste if we want to make that like a little bit bigger. That looks pretty good right there. But for neon light effects in After Effects, that's like a really cool way to go. 32 bits per channel, super white, and optical glow. It's a great combination of those things. Of course, you could always do the other way, just like make pink text and then throw optical glow on it, and it's like period accurate. But anyways, there's that. Okay, let's move on and talk about grids. Grids, Thanasis made a cool grid in Cinema before, And, you know, there's like a bunch of different ways to do that, obviously, because you could just create, you know, a plane and have it be like wireframe. You could use an atom array to give geometry to a wireframe if you want to do it that way. And, you know, that's great. But I want to show you a couple other ways to do it here in After Effects, and you could kind of like pick your poison, whichever one works for you. Of course, there's the grid effect. And that's actually what I use for that Retrowave Graphics thing. I actually just used the grid effect because I just didn't want to put, it's one of the last things that I did. And I was just like, it looks pretty cool. I don't know. I just didn't want to put that much effort into it. I don't know why, but I just hate this like interface with the grids. And then they're always kind of like not perfectly square to me. And I have to like fiddle with it. I don't know. The grid effect it's fine. It's fine. It's also like an 8-bit per channel effect. So it's not like 32 bits per channel. So I can't make this like my neon effect that I like doing. You know, it doesn't work like that. So anyways, so that's the grid effect. That's like the clean and dirty way to do it. If you want more power, we could always go back to our good buddy mirror. So I could go, and I'll just, for the sake of time, I'll just use this uniform size to make that big like that. And then again, I could take the amplitude down to like 1, so we don't have any amplitude. And then I could go down to my shader and smooth this, and then draw a wireframe just with the default settings. So again, it's creating a plane by default, and we can, you know, take down the vertices. Maybe let's do like 10 and 10. Is that too low res? Take this from triangles to quads. And then we have this like, you know, 3-dimensional grid that we can use inside of After Effects that responds to cameras and lights and all that kind of stuff, or we could make it a emissive or do any one of a number of things to it. We can, you know, go back after the fact and adjust the size of it and the resolution, and it's very flexible. So this is like one way. If I was going to be doing any more with the grids in my graphics, I would have used this little trick in Mirror, a little hack in Mirror. And again, one of the stories underneath the stories that I'm not talking about is just like how incredibly flexible Mirror is. And a lot of these Red Giant tools like Mirror and DAO in particular form, they're so flexible if you know how to use them. If you understand like what the parameters are, it's worth learning about. And if you did want to dig more into Mirror, I created a free course on Cineversity. You don't even have to log in. You go to cineversity.com, and it's a getting started in Mirror tutorial. There's like 3 tutorials in it, little series to get you up to speed in Mirror. It's pretty fun. Okay. So here is the original content from Elly and Noseman, and I decided to play with this a little bit. I kind of wanted to just push this around, make it my own. So instead of like a vertical orientation, I decided like, you know what, I want to make this like a horizontal orientation. And so I kind of did some stuff to play with it a little bit that I thought was kind of like fun that I want to show you. Just a few little quick bells and whistles. Again, this is being recorded, so you know, you don't have to remember everything that I'm doing here, because I know I'm going through this kind of quickly. But what I can do is I'm going to apply one of my favorite effects. I'm always looking for an excuse to use this whenever I can. Spot Clone Tracker. It's just like the best way to clean up footage in After Effects, because I realize if I'm going to create an animation and then I have like a little plane here, like this plane should be flying, but I don't have the separate paths with the plane isolated, so I can't do anything with it. So I'm just going to remove it. Sorry to all the work that went into putting that plane in that spot. But Spot Clone Tracker, it actually works great when you have live action footage that's moving as well. But this is just a static image, so it's not going to be as impressive, but still helpful here. So what I can do here is you see that I have this gizmo here with an orange thing, and then there's a blue thing with an arrow going to the orange thing. And what this is saying is that whatever is in the orange thing is going to be replaced by the thing in the blue circle. So what I can do is I want to remove the plane. So I'm going to drag the orange circle over to the plane, and I can actually just kind of like move this around to resize, make sure that plane's nice and covered. I don't need any feathering here, so I'm going to go to feather, and I'm going to take this down all the way. And now it looks like the plane did something naughty, and we're censoring it, which is mildly hilarious. We'll take it. And then I'm going to click in this blue circle and move this over here, basically saying, as the arrows would indicate, take this data from this blue circle and put it there. And so just like that, maybe I'll just go a little bit like that. Let's see how that looks. Oops, that is not good because I need maybe a little bit of feathering. And maybe I'll need to scoot this over a little bit more. And maybe I'll need to get this a little bit bigger because maybe a little bit of airplane on that edge. Okay. There we go. So now, just like that, I can replace content, replace stuff in my footage. And there's also a built-in tracker if I wanted to track that. It's like a really incredible tool for just very quickly removing stuff. And unlike the After Effects clone stamp, which just copies and pastes, which can be helpful, this also does, a plain clone if I wanted to, or I could also do a repair where I'm blending in the textures, whatever I want to do. And so it's a great way to clean up footage, something like there's a sign that doesn't work or whatever, a person, or if you want to blur something, this is like a great, great tool, one of my favorites. Okay, so now I'm going to, I changed the aspect ratio. I made this like widescreen, which kind of messes things up. I'm going to need to replace the stuff at the bottom here. So I'm just going to create a mask, which I'm having a tremendous difficulty doing for some reason. There we go. So I'm going to mask. I'm going to subtract this. And now I need to fill the frame with this so I can use the reptile effect, which is actually a native effect in After Effects, one of the Psycore effects. And I can expand this to the right. And I can expand this to the left. And so it's going to copy those edge frames. Maybe let's blend these borders a little bit. And so that way we have this kind of like increased edge there. And then maybe I'll duplicate this again so that we go all the way to the edges. And that's not quite far enough. So we need to go a little bit further. There we go. And so now we've basically extended this and changed the aspect ratio of our scene here. And maybe I'll move this around so we're not getting as much edge stuff there. And now I want to replace it with something. This is kind of like fun. And we do have actually a little bit of time to do this. This is going to be kind of like a fun little side detour. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to cover, but we have time, so we're going to. I'm going to make some fractal noise water. So I'm just going to call this fractal water and apply fractal noise. And let's go for something smoother. I'm going to do dynamic progressive, maybe take the complexity down to like 3. And then I'm going to go into transform and I'm going to uncheck uniform scaling. I'm going to increase the width there, scale down the height. And I want some like really cheesy, like 80s style water. I might even take the complexity down to 2. Is that ridiculous? No, it looks okay. So I'm gonna take this down. There we go. And then let's put it underneath. And we're gonna make like a, cheesy little thing here. And actually I might want to take the contrast back up because I like these peaks, these like highlights right here. It kind of makes the water feel shiny. So I'm gonna take that up like that. And then I'm going to maybe take up the brightness so we don't have like that much like contrast in the thing. There we go. Okay, so I have my cheesy 80s water and it's not great yet, but I want to show you this really cool trick. I'm going to actually, I think I can do this in an adjustment layer. I'm going to use the reflection effect. And the reflection effect is so very nifty. And I'm going to move these points over here. You can see I'm applying this even on an adjustment layer. And what it does is that it gives you this gizmo, this like T-shaped gizmo that allows you just to instantly create a reflection of anything. And again, I wanted to do this because in the original, we had this like really cool reflective floor that was made. Let me just take off all of my ridiculous adjustments here. So we have this, there we go. Oh, it's okay, darn it. Post effects. There we go. So we have this like reflective floor and with the grid on it. And again, I wanted to show you how to take these things apart in case you wanted to, like while we're here in After Effects, these things are baked in. So I can't move the grid. I can't adjust the grid. I can't, change the reflections or like the surface imperfections or whatever, because like it's baked in and rendered. And so being able to create this in After Effects or recreate something similar in After Effects can be like really helpful, because then we could have something that's like live and alive and adjustable here in After Effects. So I kind of like the balance. I think also what's really interesting, this city, I love the way that this city turned out. I love the outline and the details on it. So this is so far back that it actually would be like a two-dimensional element. And so we could make that in After Effects, but I would prefer doing it in Cinema because you can get all these little details out. So sometimes, again, we want to make our 3D stuff in 2D and we want to make our 2D stuff in 3D, depending. And it's the flexibility that really is, it gives you more options as you're creating more creative options. Okay, so going back to my reflection here, I can change like how far this reflects. You know, maybe I want to be like a shorter kind of like reflection here. And then what's kind of cool is I can go to this displacement map, and I can change the displacement map to our fractal water. Again, we have to use effects and masks. But then as I increase horizontal displacement, you're seeing that we're actually displacing this along my fake cheesy 80s water based on the fractal noise pattern. So if I go back to my fractal water and I decide to like change the scale of the height or whatever, it's going to automatically follow suit. So it's almost like it's procedural reflectivity, because it's based on whatever layer I choose as the map, which is pretty cool. So I could go back here and you know, blend this if I wanted to, like overlay this over my footage, and then maybe with the fractal water we'll apply like a simple like tint effect, and then, you know, tint this maybe something similar. Maybe we want like that, and then maybe we want like a bluish color there. And there you have it. So now we have like this like fake cheesy water that we've replaced. And again, if we go back to our water, like we evolve it or something like that, then our reflection is going to follow suit and dynamically just do whatever the water is doing. So kind of a fun thing to play with there. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to show you here. Now let's get to talking about stylizing effect. So we have now our fake cheesy 80s water. We have our radical text. We have our neon stuff. And let's talk about how to stylize this. I'm going to go ahead and make an adjustment layer. I'm going to call this Dither. It's kind of like a little spoiler of what we're about to do. I'm going to go Window, Extensions, Red Giant Universe Dashboard. And you will find in this universe collection of effects that there are several effects that have the word dither in them. And if I go to Stylize, you'll see, I believe it's like 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it's just 4 here. And then another one in the generators, it's custom dither. And I actually really like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply custom dither and then talk a little bit more about what it's doing. So in the early days of computer graphics, we could not recreate, if you remember, if you were of that age, you know, we couldn't create smooth gradients. You couldn't have like photos. You had to just represent things with like basically like the way GIFs are now, like just like 256 colors and or sometimes less. And so in order to kind of simulate the blending of colors, there were these patterns called dither patterns that were created. And it's surprisingly scientific, like the number of dots. You can see here we have like, 2 rows of 1 dots, and then we have 1 row of 2 dots, actually 2 rows of 2 dots. Then we have like these like little like X patterns or whatever. And this is like really scientific. A lot of like early nerds in the computer world got behind this, and they're like, oh, I have a better like way of dithering and stuff like that, a better algorithm for like, instead of like 1 1 2 5, like I want to do 1 5 2 3, I don't know, whatever. And so like they really got into these like algorithms of the best way to simulate the blending of colors, the smooth transition of colors, to kind of create photos as closely as they could with the limited palettes that they had. And so that's called dithering.
Can I say something, Chad?
Please.
Algorithms are for wimps. Real artists used to draw these things a pixel at a time. All right?
Whoa.
There you go. So, and even black and white, the first Mac in 1984, a Mac Paint. It did have some automatic gradient stuff and all that did the dithering, but that was wimpy. Nah, I'm telling you, go pixel by pixel and count the pixels. So yeah, just wanted to say that those were the good old days when you used to, there were no monitors. It was just a plain piece of marble we would dig out of the mountain. And that's how old I am. Yeah, keep going, keep going.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for that detour. That's great. I've never actually no, that's not true. For the if you go in particular, there are some like 8-bit icons that you could use as sprites, like custom sprites. There's like a little like sword and, you know, treasure chest and skull and stuff like that. And there's some dithering, and I did that by hand. And that was like a nightmare. So
You
like
are a real artist. That's
yeah,
it.
I had to also go up to the mountain and chisel marble and such to get that to work.
There you go.
It was difficult, but I did it. So what we're seeing here is this like default pattern in this custom dither. Again, there's ordered dither, there's air diffused dither, there's all kinds of dither that you could use, including halftone dither, which is really good for simulating like halftone patterns of printed stuff. It's like a really beautiful effect. But I want to maybe increase the posterize effect. It's taking away a lot of our colors. So I'm going to go to posterization level 3 and get back some of those colors. So maybe I'll do 2 just to show you what that's like. And then 3 gives us like a little bit more of our original colors, and we could see that going on as well there. Okay. And there's also dither size. And I'll zoom in again a little bit more so you can see the dither. If I take this down, I can say none if I want to just kind of like posterize this. But if I say half, there's that. And each time I go down, these are going to get bigger. So the dither size, so as I go to 1/16, I mean, this is not accurate. But the way I like to think of it is like 1/16 is like Atari, and 1/8 is like Nintendo. Oops, I moved my adjustment layer. Let me reset this. Okay, so again, 1/16 is Atari, 1/8 is Nintendo, 1/4 is like Super Nintendo, and then 1/2 is like, I don't know, Game Boy Advance or something like that. But this is not really accurate, but in my own mind, that's how I think of it. So if that helps you, then there's that. So there's all kinds of things we could do here. We could increase stipplings if we wanted to add more dither details. If we wanted to, we could lower the dither intensity. We could up the dither intensity, the dither bias. There's like a lot of different things that we could do here to play with this. But the dither effect, if you're looking to create these kind of like simulated looks, I mean, like we're talking about, you know, no need anymore to go to the mountain with your chisel tools and carve out a monitor and make your own dither tools. From now on, just use these dither plugins from Red Giant to create all these different patterns to create dithering. And it's just such an instantly classic look, right? I mean, without this effect, it doesn't feel like really like there's elements that are kind of vintage, but it doesn't feel like that vintage. But with the dithering effect on, it's like instantly a vintage thing, which is pretty cool. Now, another classic Red Giant tool is VHS. And so we can't talk about like 80s stuff without getting into VHS. I'm going to go to Window, Extensions, Red Giant Universe Dashboard. Again, I should just leave this open. There's really no point in closing this. This time I've learned my lesson. This time I will just like leave it open so it doesn't have to like load the dashboard. I'm going to go to Stylize, and then there's this VHS effect. And I actually talked to one of the guys on our team that was responsible for this, and they actually went to a bunch of like thrift stores all around Portland and trying to find like every single like VHS beta player they could and to sample its noise patterns. I mean, they really did a lot for this. And so I can go to like clean VHS, and I will just apply this preset for the VHS effect. Again, this creates VHS effects, and you can see the before and after. So even without seeing like the typical like VHS noise, like those like, those noisy strips that we're used to with VHS. Already, one of the most important things that VHS does is that the LUT is applied. As you can see the tape style, the LUT is the VHS LUT, because it's going to take all these vibrant colors, which were not allowed on TV at the time, along with many other things, and we'll bring them into conformity with the colors of that medium with VHS. So instantly we have something that's just, you know, looks vintage with the noise pattern. And then of course we get the little strips of these bands that we're familiar with VHS. We go into this with tape damage, and we can, you know, increase the amount of pop line frequency. We could add tape wrinkles. I mean, add wrinkle distortion here and percent chance. So we get these little like wobbles too. So not just the little bands of noise, but these little wobbles that would flow through the tape when there was a wrinkle in it. All these details that we're used to seeing with VHS, we can just add very quickly and easily. And in this example here, I did both. I added a little bit of VHS and some dithering as well. So you can definitely combine the two. And then also, finally, there's other effects that we can add to add stylization as well, just to be aware of, that are kind of like less common. Analog creates the look of like analog TV. So if you want to like make something look like it was on an old television, so I could say, let's say maybe cop show. So I'll apply cop show, and then we have this look. And a lot of these effects will also change the aspect ratio as a favor to you, because there was no widescreen on TV, because all of our screens look like this, 4:3. If you don't like that, you can do this, you know, 16:9, and take that back if you want to do that, or make it square, or whatever you want. And all that is done for you automatically here in the effect. And again, we have this look from the TV. So if you want to make it look like an 80s TV show and a broadcast, not on VHS, then you could use analog instead of VHS. And there's a bunch of, you know, adjust the scan lines and all those kind of things as well. One other final effect to look at, it's not really technically like an 80s effect, but if you wanted to create like a vintage look, AV Club, it kind of simulates this kind of like, you know, the local access cable, ancient videotapes, the kind of noise. So apply mega fuzz just so it's clear what's happening here. And again, these details where it's just kind of like over sharpened and kind of like softened in just that exact right way. That's what AV Club does for you. So again, a variety of tools to use to stylize your footage, to bring back these like vintage things. So even if you are doing almost everything in cinema, you decide to go that direction, there's still a lot of value if you're creating stylized looks or whatever in coming back to After Effects and using the Red Giant tools in conjunction with what you did in cinema. Okay. So
a bit of an interruption here. Just going to post some comments. First of all, Rodolfo in the house.
What's up, Rodolfo?
What's up? He's late. I said he's right on time. You know, cool people being late is right on time.
Exactly.
And what else? Oh, Rocco says we're putting in what we spent years trying to get rid of. Actually, and I posted underneath, not really, because back then we didn't have an option. What you see now was the only thing we could do. But at least now we have the option to have it purely photorealistic, indistinguishable from reality, sometimes even better than reality, or back to the other style. So it's a net gain.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times, you know, like if we're shooting footage, you know, you're like, when I'm on set and I'm shooting something, I'm trying to get the cleanest possible footage, right? I'm trying to get like the least noisy, like whatever. But then when I'm compositing, there is grain and noise and blur in the footage. And so then I'm damaging my digital stuff so that it matches. So, you know, like there always is this kind of like push pull where like we're trying to get the technology as great as we can, but then also we have to simulate that technology. And so then we damage our footage. Anyways, yeah.
And of course, Rocco was joking and I was joking. So
I wasn't joking. I was dead serious. Yeah, sorry.
I'm not serious. Okay, keep going. This is interesting.
No, that's all I have. I just wanted to share those stylized things, but I'm happy to answer any like questions or whatever. So it's like perfect timing that you cut in there.
Oh, wait. Oh, we have some date dropping here. I started in 1981, 2-inch tape. Wow. Okay. That is impressive, I have to say.
Yeah,
Because,
serious.
yeah, I started a bit later than that. A bit, just about half a decade. So there you go. Bow everyone to Rocco. Fantastic. One day, maybe one day you'll tell us all about your journey from the age of dinosaurs where we lived all the way up to today, because it has been what is amazing. What I find amazing is how much things have changed, and yet how much the requirements are the same. People ask for the same stuff and all that, and the technology has changed. Anyway, I can go on and on about these things. And you said you don't have anything else to show us?
No, that was the
It?
collection of stuff. Yeah.
Just about under an hour? Oh, come on.
I know.
Okay, so let me quickly do some housekeeping. And what I did here, let me get, this is what I'm going to put up. I'm going to take your screen, put my screen over here. I'm going to paste the link for this page. I'm going to paste it in all three of our chats. And just use that link. Go here, where it says thanks for joining our live streams, and we have some other links, including the Ask the Trainer form. And as I repeat in every of my latest shows, we're trying to find a way to improve this so we can have better communication with our users. Now, don't forget that in the Maxon events page, you'll find out what's going on all over the world, globally. So find something that is happening close to your neighborhood. Get on a train, plane, or walk there, whatever you want to do, and check it out. Maxon Training Team YouTube channel hosts all these videos after they've been presented live. So if you want to find these videos with timestamps and comments kindly provided by our friend and mentor, Dr. Sassy, please go to the
Yeah.
Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. At the same time, we're streaming live on the Maxon YouTube channel, where you will find hundreds of presentations from amazing artists and technologists. Of course, go learn ZBrush, now available on the iPad. What's your experience with ZBrush on iPad? You're loving it, aren't you?
Oh, I'm absolutely loving it. Like ZBrush, the desktop, like it was really confusing to me. And somehow, like putting it on the iPad, it's just the experience is like completely different. The UI feels different in all the best ways. So I'm actually like always playing with it now. I really, really, and if you feel like that, I'd recommend that to anybody. If you've been confused by a ZBrush desktop, go play with it on the iPad. It's a phenomenal experience. Very, very cool. Yeah. What about you?
Fantastic.
You play with it on the iPad at all?
No, because
Oh
I'm
man.
not. I've been repeating this for years, and people don't believe me. I do not have an artistic, creative nature. I come up with novel concepts, but structural, not artistic. I can draw, but I don't know what to draw. So I just
Mm.
blank. I dream, and then I forget about them. So I leave this up to the artists, because ZBrush is an artist first tool. I'm more of an engineer. I like to solve technical problems.
Mm.
Um, Additionally, go to the Maxon Red Giant YouTube channel and check out all these amazing videos about our 2 to 4D tools. And of course, go to university. And I posted a link earlier that has I'm going to paste it again, that has Chad's getting started and all sorts of other beautiful tutorials. So go wherever it says Chad Perkins, the gentleman above me, and check out all of his tutorials, because they are worth it. Maybe this can be a slogan for an ad agency. You're worth it. Oh, wait. Was it Revlon or something. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. The good old days. Now we have a couple of very, very quick 80 ATD films, 360. iPad live stream. What do you think? Will that happen?
iPad live stream. Yeah, I think they do that, don't
ZBrush
they?
on iPad. ZBrush on iPad live stream.
Yeah, I think they. I think they
Ian?
do that.
Rodolfo. Oh, Rodolfo is around. You can post a comment, but they do regularly show. Just go learn it. Like, go download it. You can download it now on your iPad and start doing stuff. Okay, let's see. Very quickly, a couple more quick questions. Let's see, or comments. There you go. Highly respect you guys, but no bowing to me. Well, a bit. You know, there is some respect that comes with age and experience. So allow me to take that. Right. Can we make? Do you have your comps, the ones you did today? Are they available in the link? If not, we'll see if we can add it. Let's let the relevant parties know. Give us a few days, and we will try and deal with this. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything copyrighty. I'll just go through it and package it up. It's not in there now, but yeah, give us a couple days and we can get on that. Feel free to follow us up. Is it training@maxon.net? Is that the thing? Feel free to harass us at training@maxon.net if
we're going to add it to the description. So check out the description in a couple of days, and we may get them done. Okay. Let Jonas know. He will be taking care of that. Our very good friend Drake, Chad, sorry for the basic question, but here goes. Using Array Gun Tactical .3, for example, how does one change the color of the shape grid or shape one? The swatch is there, but not functional. Would you know anything about this?
I don't know. I think let's see. Oh, I think, no, I actually need to go in. I got this out. So by default, the color is coming from the color scheme. So in the shape grid area, there's color A and color B. And so by default, it's coming from there. I don't recall how to get it to switch from the color scheme because if you don't want it to use color scheme, I'll look into that. Drake, that's a really great question. Feel free to follow up with me about that. That's a good question. So I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. ATD Films has ZBrush Fear. My response to that is don't. Just start playing. That's you need to see it with a totally different perspective. Cinema 4D is a totally different thing. It's more structured. ZBrush is more of a free-flowing application, right? So more use your instinct rather than your functional. What's it called? Which part of the brain is the one that solves problems and all that? Because that's the one that applies.
I don't have that part.
I only have that. So
also, ZBrush for iPad is totally different.
Yes.
Like ZBrush for iPad, like don't think of it as like, oh, I'm scared of ZBrush, so I'm scared of all ZBrush related things. Like, yeah, ZBrush for iPad is completely different. There's a great tutorial by EJ. I think School of Motion put it out on YouTube, and he just it's like an hour, and he makes like an adorable little like porcelain elephant from scratch in ZBrush for iPad. It's really, really great for people who are scared of ZBrush for iPad. Highly recommend it. EJ is like one of the best trainers out there, one of my favorite trainers in the world. And he just has a great way of making things approachable and breaking down fears. So ZBrush for iPad tutorial, EJ, House and Frauds, School of Motion. Yeah.
So one thing, our or my entire brain solves problems. I have to say, you've heard that humans only use a small percentage of their brain. I use 99.9% of half of my brain. So, that's anyway. Okay, that's it. That's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Chad, for showing us all these amazing things between 2 and 4D. I need to put that up again. So
Love that.
All the Ds between 2 and 4. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for these 3 weeks of fun and retro games.
Yes.
Yeah, and I hope to see you all again, and more of you. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Chad, I'll be seeing you behind the scenes.
Yes.
So I need to find now. I always have to remind people that I need to find a button. I'm going to click it. And so let's say goodbye, and then I'm going to click the button.
See you, everybody.